In this video, we're going to look at writing equations for applications. In one, it says, Chicago and Detroit are about 300 miles apart. On a snowy day, a salesperson travels to Chicago from Detroit at a certain speed. He returns the next day and drives 15 miles an hour faster. The total travel time was 13 hours. Find the speed to Chicago and the return speed to Detroit. And it says, hint, let x equal the speed to Chicago from Detroit. And they've already put that into our chart. So if the speed to Chicago is x, and we drove 15 miles an hour faster home, the return to Detroit, our rate is x plus 15. And for time, we're just going to use t1 and t2. And then for distance, it's the same distance in both directions, which is 300. And now for our equation, we can say that time is equal to distance over rate. So we can say that t1 is equal to 300 over x, and t2 is equal to 300 divided by x plus 15. And the total travel time is 13 hours. So now they want us to write an equation and solve. And we know that t1 plus t2 is equal to 13. So we can say that 300 over x, which represents t1, plus 300 over x plus 15, which represents t2, is equal to 13. And now I'm going to multiply the entire equation by the common denominator, which is x times x plus 15. And then I get 300 over x times x plus 15 leaves us with 300 times x plus 15 plus 300 over x plus 15 times x plus 15 is 300x, and that's equal to 13 times x plus 15. And now we're going to distribute everything through the parentheses everywhere we can. So 300 times x gives us 300x plus 300 times 15 is equal to 4,500 plus 300x is equal to, we have 13x times x is 13x squared plus 13x times 15 is 195x. And now I'm going to combine my like terms on the left side of the equation, and I have 600x plus 4,500 is equal to 13x squared plus 195x. And now we have a quadratic, so we're going to move everything to one side of the equation. And I'm going to move everything to the right so that my x squared term is positive. So I have 13x squared. And then we have 195x minus 600x is negative 405x. And minus 4,500 is equal to 0. And now we're going to use quadratic formula to solve this. And a is equal to 13. B is equal to negative 405. And C is equal to negative 4,500. So we have x is equal to negative b, so negative 405, plus or minus the square root of negative 405 squared minus 4 times a, which is 13, times c, which is negative 4,500, all divided by 2a, which is 2 times 13. And this is equal to negative 405 is 405 plus or minus. When we do negative 405 squared minus 4 times 13 times negative 4,500, we get 398,161. And then when we take the square root of that, we get 631. And this is all divided by 26. And now we have 405 plus or minus 631 in the numerator. And x is representing a rate. So we can't have a negative rate. So we're only going to look at x is equal to 405 plus 631 divided by 26, because this is going to give us a positive answer. And 405 plus 631 is equal to 1,036 divided by 26. And this is equal to 39.85, or approximately 40. So we can say that the speed to Chicago, which was represented by x, was approximately 40 miles per hour, and the return speed was about, now the return speed was represented by x plus 15, so we have 40 plus 15, or 55 miles per hour. In 2, it says an open box is made from a piece of rectangular cardboard. The length of the cardboard is 8 inches less than the width. So if we have W for the width, then our length is equal to width minus 8, or L is equal to W minus 8. And then they tell us that 2-inch squares are cut from each corner. Then the sides are turned up to create an open box with volume of 480 inches cubed. And then they want us to find the length and width of the original piece of cardboard. So we're going to dash out squares from each corner, and each of these is 2. So that means that the width of the box, after we cut the squares out, is going to be W minus 4, which is this length, because it's the total is W, and then we have to subtract both of the cutouts, which is 2 each, so W minus 4, and then the inside length is equal to W minus 8 minus 4, which is also W minus 12. So the first thing they want us to do is label each picture, which I've done as I went. And now we want to identify the length, the width, and the height of our box. So the length of our box, we already talked about, is W minus 12. The width of our box is W minus 4. And then the height is 2, which is the size of the squares we cut out of the corners. And now in B it says write the volume equation and solve. So volume is equal to length times width times height. And they told us that the volume was 480 cubic inches. And this is equal to our length, which was W minus 12, times our width, which was W minus 4, times our height, which was 2. And now we want to solve. So the first thing that I'm going to do is divide both sides by 2, and then I'm going to multiply my two binomials together. So I have 480 divided by 2 is 240, is equal to W squared minus 16W plus 48. And since we have a quadratic, I'm going to get it in a form so that I can use the quadratic equation. So I'm going to subtract 240 from both sides, and I get w squared minus 16w minus 192 is equal to 0. And now my a is equal to 1, my b is equal to negative 16, and my c is equal to negative 192. So I can say that w is equal to negative b, so negative 16, plus or minus the square root of negative 16 squared minus 4 times a, which is 1, times c, which is negative 192, divided by 2a, which is 2 times 1, and this is equal to negative 16 is 16, plus or minus the square root of negative 16 squared minus 4 times 1 times negative 192 is equal to 32, divided by 2 times 1 is 2. And now our numerator is 16 plus or minus 32, and w represents a length, and we can't have negative length. So we're not going to worry about 16 minus 32 divided by 2. We're going to look at w is equal to 16 plus 32 divided by 2, which is equal to 48 divided by 2, which is equal to 24. And if our width is 24, and then our length, and remember we're looking for the width and the length of the original piece of cardboard, so length was represented by w minus 8. So we have w minus 8, and this is equal to 24 minus 8, or 16. So we can say that the length and width of the original piece of cardboard is 16 inches and 24 inches. If they wanted to know the dimensions of the cardboard box that we created, then we would use w minus 4, so the width would be 20. The length would be w minus 12, or 12. And if we were to multiply together 20 times 12 times 2, we would get the volume that they gave us in the problem, 480 inches cubed. So you have to be careful about what they're asking for. They gave us information about the box, but they were asking questions about the original piece of cardboard. And that's all for our video on writing equations for applications.